Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to be looking at graphs and determining from the definition whether the graph is a function or whether it is not a function. The definition of a function is that it has exactly one output for each input value, or each domain element. For each domain element, there's exactly one range element. That is also defined as one independent element where there's one dependent variable, exactly one dependent element. So what we're really looking at here in this graph is for each one domain, that means every x value. So if we're taking a look at this graph and we're looking at x values, we're going to be looking at x values down here. We're determining whether those x values have more than one, have exactly one range element. Now if we look right out here on the graph, here's our x value. It would be mapped up to a point up here, and there is only one value at this x. But if we move over a little bit to the value of 2 here on the graph, we look at the value of 2, there's actually more than one value of x that is mapped at 2. So a point right up here, this would be 2 comma a value. This one right here up here would be 2 comma a value. And this point down here would be 2 comma a value. Now each of these points would have a second value that would be different in each one of these points. This one is approximately 2.5. This one up here is about 8, 2.8, and this one down here is about negative 3.7 maybe, or 3.8, maybe even 1, 2, 3. Actually, it's about negative 3. So you have 3 values of answers, or 3 answers for 2. So this one is not a function. This is not a function because we have more than one exact value. It's not a function. So this one's not a function because it has more than one value. Now if we look at this graph over here, it's curved just as this graph is, but if we look at any x value, it maps one value there. This one maps a value right on the axis. This one maps down here. Each x value that I choose, I'm only going to get one answer. The curve is only above it or below it, or maybe even on it. In this case, there's only one answer for every x. So this is a function. Now, in that mapping of a function, you can see that I've been drawing a vertical line from the x-axis either up to the graph or to the curve that way. And this one I actually drew a vertical line here as well, but I didn't draw the whole line in here. Here's another vertical line I've drawn here. And that kind of leads us into the way we can define it through drawing vertical lines, and which is called the vertical line test. In this test, if you can draw a vertical line and each vertical line only crosses the graph once, then it's going to be a function. If it crosses the graph more than once, it's not going to be a function. So that's the vertical line test. Okay, for a function. Crossing once is a function. Crossing more than once is not a function. Right? Let's type that in here for you. Line crosses graph once. And okay, we got to say vertical line here. Crosses graph once, then graph is a function if vertical line crosses graph more than once, and then graph is not a function. All right, let's take a look at a couple of these below. I've got a couple examples of graphs here. These are both U-shaped curves. And in one case, when we draw the vertical line, over here, if I draw vertical lines here, we're only going to get a single crossing. So each time I draw a vertical line here, so this one's going to be a function. Because the vertical line only crosses once. Here, my vertical line doesn't cross, but over here, as I start getting to the curve, it's going to cross twice. So this one is not a function, because that one crosses, the vertical line crosses more than one time. Okay, so it's not a function. We got two y values, or two outputs for every x input there. Now on this one we have a line. So in a line, as long as the line isn't vertical, it looks like we're only going to get one crossing. So this one we're going to also say is a function. So this one up here is a function, and the one down here is also a function. They cross one time. Now on the last example here, it's a circle. So any vertical line I draw there, or almost any vertical line, I'm going to get it to cross twice. I mean, I might get one that just touches the edge over here. That would be crossing once, but most of the lines, when it crosses, is going to cross twice. So that one is not a function, similar to the one above. So the both graphs on the right-hand side are not going to be functions. These graphs on the left side are functioned by the vertical line test.